Welcome back. It's a new year for politicians out in Washington, too, with a couple of key deadlines ahead for Congress. Work on the federal budget was punted to this year, and Congress has until January 19th and February 2nd to pass two different portions of the national spending plan. Now, at the same time this week, Wisconsin congressmen joined a group of representatives headed down to the southern border. That included Janesville Representative Bryan Steil, who joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to first ask you, though, what was the origin of the trip down to the southern border?
We know what a disaster the policies are that are leading to the massive amount of immigration coming in. I wanted an opportunity to speak firsthand to the men and women of law enforcement, in particular, those officers on Customs and Border Patrol who are on the front lines. So we went to the epicenter of the illegal immigration challenges that we have, which is in Eagle Pass, Texas. There's an opportunity to really reinforce my understanding and knowledge that we need to secure the U.S. Mexico border. We need to change the policies of the Biden administration and get things under control. It was just last month that we had 300,000 illegal immigrants enter the United States of America. And this is a problem not impacting just our nation's largest cities. It's impacting every community, including Whitewater, Wisconsin, right here at home, where 1,000 migrants have moved into a community of 14,000 people that are really causing a big drain on resources, as well as some of the other challenges that the communities face, including drug trade, where over $250,000 was trafficked to the Mexican Gulf cartel, as well as human trafficking instances that we've seen in that community. So the need to secure the U.S.-Mexico border is of absolute paramount importance.
Yeah, so is there any room to work with the Biden administration on this at all?
We really haven't seen the Biden administration be willing to change their policies. You got to remember, on day one of the Biden administration, they stopped construction of the border wall. Not only was that a tactical mistake, but it also sent a signal across the globe that the U.S.-Mexico border is not secure. That began the wave of individuals coming across the U.S.-Mexico border that continues to this day. What we're trying to do is force the administration to enforce the laws on the books. We continue to see an abuse of the asylum system, an abuse of the parole system. We need to reinstate the stay in Mexico policy. And if we do these things, we could dramatically stem the tide of the illegal immigration that we're seeing into the United States.
So it seems like Republicans are willing to trade off some border security funding for Ukraine funding. Why tie those two together?
We need to have a leverage point with this administration to force them to change the policies that they're doing. This administration and all of us are interested in making sure we keep the government open and operational, but we have the power of the purse in Congress, and that is our greatest leverage with this administration, which is why we're having the conversation together, to make sure that we're securing the U.S.-Mexico border while we're working to identify the spending priorities of the country.
So does that indicate any cooling of support among Republicans for Ukraine at all?
I don't think that is the driver. The driver is the power of the purse is about the only leverage point we have with this administration from Congress. We control 1/3 of the government with Republicans in the House of Representatives. It's our opportunity to leverage that position in the power of the purse to force the administration to change course as it relates to border security.
So as you talk about the power of the purse, I know there are a couple of deadlines coming up. Are you concerned that we might face more talks of government shutdown if we miss these January and February deadlines?
I remain concerned that we're coming up with another lapse in funding deadline in just a few weeks. There is no one who wins when the federal government shuts down. I'd like to see us keep the federal government open and secure the border. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time, but we need the administration to truly come to the table and be willing to secure the U.S.-Mexico border and stem the tide of the massive illegal immigration that we've seen into the United States.
Congressman Steil, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we know he is not the only one traveling this week. Dane County Congressman Mark Pocan is back in Madison, where we caught up with him at his office.
Speaking of the border, do you have a comment about a Wisconsin congressman going to look down at the border? Did you see need of concern about border security from Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, I think what they should be doing is looking at the calendar. There's January 19th and February 2nd. We could have a federal government shutdown unless we do something fiscally. That's like our 101. And if 60 Republicans want to get together in Texas or Maryland or Rhinelander to talk about that, that would be good. But if they're just going for photo ops on something that they didn't bother to fix when Trump was president, you know, I mean, look, it's a good issue for them, right, to talk about the border. If they can't do anything else, And so far, I haven't been censured. They got 433 of us to go, right? So they still got some time to get that done. They can't do much right now. They're so ineffective, and I think going down there is just continues showing how ineffective they are, because they can't actually tackle the many things I mentioned that we have pending in the next 30 days, and instead, that's what they're talking about.
We'll be right back after this.